Greetings, Titans. Welcome to Dave on the Move. I'm Dave. This is Dave Takes It On. We've just come from a rugby retail park with 12 Tesla V4 chargers open to all. And that's nearby the Moto Services at Rugby, which has got 28 V3 chargers, not open to all, exclusive to Tesla. And had a little bit of a run-in with someone at the retail park. Now, to set the scene, those of you who've met me, those of you who watch me, I'm really easygoing, quite happy and jolly, don't get upset very easily. So I'm quite approachable. However, when I got to the retail park in Rugby to do a bit of filming for the V4s, open to all, I found a petrol car. It was a Ford Cougar, not even a hybrid, just a petrol car parked in the charger bay. Now, these annoy me at the best of times, but the difference here was two things. First of all, to get to the chargers, you have to drive through one of the lanes in the car park. And the car park, when I arrived, was virtually deserted. It's a massive car park, probably 20 or 30 cars in there, but he actually drove up past all these empty bays before you can turn into the Tesla supercharger. So that really said to me, this is not a guy who can't find a parking space elsewhere. These are the only ones left, so he's parked in here. If that was the case, don't agree with it, but I could understand if the whole car park was full. I could understand someone choosing to park in a charging bay if they're all vacant. There were only 2 other cars charging at the time I got there. That wasn't the situation here. He's deliberately driven past dozens of empty parking spaces in order to deliberately park here. The second thing, it doesn't come out well on the microphone, but from when I approached him, knocked on the window, opened the window, there was verbal abuse coming out of that car. I'm not going to say what was happening, but they were immediately very aggressive. I opened with a reasonable request, what you're doing here, in a reasonable manner, but that was met with real abuse right from the beginning. So that's setting the scene. So first of all, I knew it was a deliberate attempt. It wasn't an accident. And secondly, I was greeted with abuse. So gloves are off. So I launched into them. So I'm going to play you what actually happened here, and then we'll do a little recap at the end. So at this point, I got out of the car with my camera in my hand, but it wasn't filming. I tapped on his window and we had words. I got immediate abuse from him. But at this time, he then wound up his window, and this is what happened next. Fairly harmless at this stage. He did drive his car at me, but there was a curb in the way. It wasn't going to do anything. However, I then started filming the video that I'd come here to make, and was sort of halfway through it. I'd been speaking for about 10 or 15 minutes, and the video is well underway. And the incident actually reopened. So let's have a look what happens next. Well, he's back. This is a good 10 minutes after I first met him. And what we have here is behaviour I just don't understand. He's gone away. He's come back again. So this is just taking time out of his day. He did have a webcam in his hand. So he's driven back to see me. I might not have been there. He doesn't know that. But he's come back, good 10 minutes later, and he's got a mission now. And what he does, he drives around, he gets himself ready, then he sets off back again towards me. And at this point, what's he trying to achieve? Well, what he actually does is he stops the car, he winds his window down, and he holds a webcam facing me. Now, he's perfectly entitled to film me. I don't have a problem with that. But I just wonder what he is actually trying to achieve. Because he films me. So what? He was in the bay. I moved him on, or he moved on when I asked him to. What was the point of this? And at this point, I get really baffled. Okay, well, you've seen the video. You can look at the timestamps. It's metadata on all the videos, so I know exactly what time it was. I know I kept on filming, so I know at what point in this it was. But interesting here that someone had deliberately chosen to drive past dozens of empty parking spaces to deliberately park in a charging space. And secondly, they met me with instant abuse. And thirdly, really, I cannot understand the mentality of this person who will go and drive off, driven away for about 5 minutes, then come back with a dash cam and then sit there, park window down, and actually film me. What was he trying to achieve? That's probably 10 minutes wasted in his day to try and prove a point. But what was he proving? Proving he's a total, well, numpty. I could think of other words, but total numpty. It was a deliberate act, and he thought he was achieving something by driving away, coming back and filming me. He wasn't, apart from proving what an idiot he was. And this sort of mentality is really, really strange. It's why people tend to be really extreme about EVs. They either love them or hate them. If they hate them, they'd set fire to them all, ban them and everything else. And if you love them, you'd want them and you want to get rid of ICE cars. So it's a really strange attitude that someone would feel so strongly about trying to do over someone who's got an EV, who is actually helping the environment, helping the pollution levels and everything. It's their choice, my choice to buy an EV. He can't tell me what I should be driving. So it's just baffling that he would do that and then come and film me, come back and film me, taking time out of his day. I really don't understand it. I really don't. And it's a worrying trend because these people, I'm fortunate, I'm 6'3". I'm still reasonably well built, not hugely overweight or 6-stone weakling. And so there's very few people who will stand up to me if I go and talk to them. So it's not something I'd recommend to everybody. If you are a 5'0", 6-stone weakling, I wouldn't suggest going up and tackling people in this manner. And I must admit, I don't always do it. But in this case, I did. And we got what we got. And I don't understand it. If anyone can explain this behaviour, long time ago, I qualified as a psychotherapist. So I've got diplomas and all sorts in psychology, and I was just studying human behaviour. I was in sales, and I was always trying to understand why people do things, because if you can understand why people react in a certain way, as a salesman, I might be able to adapt what I'm saying or doing or body posture, whatever it was, which would make that person more open to listening to me and less likely to say no. So it was part of the job in my mind that if I understood a bit more about human psychology. So I qualified as a psychologist. This behaviour, I cannot explain. I don't understand it. Why would someone do this? I can understand them not wanting to buy an EV, that's their choice. But what right has he got to tell me that I shouldn't buy an EV, and he's going to try and do everything possible to try and make it more difficult for me to charge? As it happened, there are plenty of charging bays available. That's not the point. The point is that he's chosen to do this. So if anyone out there can help me, there must be some psychologists much better qualified than I am. If you could help me and try and understand why people do this, why they do. I've come from Rugby Services and met the manager there, and I asked him about icing charging bays, and he said, well, no, we have car parking attendants, and they would step in if someone did that, but it's not an issue for them. And I think there, one of the issues is that the charging bays, both the GridServe and the Teslas, are about as far away from the motorway services as you can get. It's quite a walk to get to the service area with all the restaurants, toilets and everything else. So for someone to park there, they've got a big trek. They could park much closer to the facilities and have a much easier life. So it's less likely to happen there. And places like Trentham Gardens, it's much more likely to happen. Trentham Gardens, for those who haven't been there, big car park, massive car park. It's a shopping village. It's a beautiful place to go to, but it's also a venue for pop concerts and entertainment. And they have regular events there. They have some quite big stars appearing. Car park's very big, but there they have a Tesla supercharger, which is open to all, so all CCS2 drivers. But they happen to have put the chargers about as close to the venue entrance as you could possibly get. So anywhere you park other than at the Tesla superchargers, you've got a bit of a further walk. And of course, when it's busy, you might have to walk 100 yards, 200 yards from the nearest place to park to get into the venue. And so there is a temptation there to use those chargers on venue nights, if they're empty, as just parking spaces. And I had a word with security guards there, and they would have a word with people, but they have no set policy, no enforcement to actually move them on. And I've been there and I've actually filmed cars parked there not charging, petrol cars not charging. But also EVs there not charging, and that's something that you shouldn't do. But I can understand why they do it. But this guy, I just have no understanding whatsoever why he did it, what he was trying to achieve, why he'd take time out of his day to come back and then film me, as if that made a difference to my life. Didn't. Well, apart from being making a good video for the viewers. So yeah, got me baffled. Anyway, that's it. It's just a short update. So thanks for watching. I'm Dave.